Welcome to Priceless Takes.
And we are live from the Gold Coast, Australia. Welcome back, everyone, to Priceless Takes. I'm your host, Luca Price. And for the final segment of Priceless Takes for this year, for the NBA at least, we're going to go through our preseason predictions. And we're going to... Yeah, well, I don't want you guys to look at them, actually. I want you guys to just let me read them to you. Some of you might remember them, some of you won't. The first one was preseason finals matchup. I'm going to go first because...
Yours is shocking. I was
my preseason finals matchup was...
You'll only get this on Priceless Takes. You'll only get this on Priceless Takes.
My preseason, which, look, this looks silly now, but at the time, guys, I promise I was onto something. Okay? I promise I was onto something. So I had the Heat versus the Mavericks in the finals, and at the time of this prediction, the Mavericks were just coming off a finals loss last year. Everything looked good. You know, the Mavericks were really poised after that to make a really good run back to the finals in a Western Conference, you know, where Jokic lost that year. You know, the Timberwolves were still young. OKC hadn't improved much. And on the Miami side, look, the Heat, they'd been to the finals twice in the Jimmy Butler era. And, you know, there were some talks about the Butler trade, which I maybe overlooked a little bit in this prediction because I really did think that, you know, they would be able to work through it. Jimmy's taken them to 2 finals already. But it just didn't work out. Both teams, you know, the Heat got knocked out in the first round. The Mavericks got knocked out in the play-in. Oscar, your pick was the Knicks versus Thunder, which wasn't a horrible pick in the end. Your thoughts on that pick?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good pick. I don't know what I said on the episode that we did the predictions, but I think I just believed in the Thunder. I thought, you know, they were only getting better after last season, and you know, the Knicks... The same thing I thought. I didn't know Indiana were going to come in and ruin the East. So, I thought the Knicks were only getting better, and same with OKC, and they both did pretty well last year. So, yeah, that was kind of what I thought.
Ruben, you also picked the Thunder to make the finals. However, you had them versing the Celtics, who got knocked out in the second round to the Knicks. What are your thoughts on your pick preseason?
I don't think I was on that episode, but for me, the Thunder and Celtics were just above everyone else, and that's why I thought they were going to make the finals. And then, like with the Celtics, you saw Tatum go down, and obviously that didn't happen. And then I was a donkey and flip-flopped last minute and picked Minnesota, beat Thunder, which I don't know why I did that. I never did that, and I'm never going to do that again. So I kind of don't want to take the pick, but I think at the start of the season, the idea for me was that I just saw them as the 2 best teams in the NBA, which is why pick both of them to go to the finals.
And to round out our finals picks,
T-Man thought he was onto something.
Tyson, you also had the Celtics in the finals. You had them versing the Lakers pre-Luka trade with the pre-Lakers team.
Walk us through that prediction. She was on the phone with Jeannie.
Heads up next season, he's going to pick it again. Heads up next season. I've said it first.
Nick, I definitely think I was onto something, but definitely wrong in the East department. I think I'm still hitting the nail on the head with the Lakers.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna wait till next season. One more year. Maybe some off-season trades. So as long as I get that East selection right, I'm spot on. I'm looking great.
Okay. Well, yeah. Look, Oscar, you also had the Thunder to win the championship. Tyson, you had the Lakers to win the championship. I had the Mavs to win the championship, and Ruben, you had the Celtics.
I was glazing Shea from all the way back then, man. I've been glazing Shea.
Oscar, yes, at least you have been consistent. Shout out to you and Pat Finnemore, the only OKC fan I know, who were able to enjoy this championship. So, Oscar, credit to you. You know, picking the championship at the start of the season is not easy. Oscar, not only did you pick the championship, you also correctly picked the MVP winner. You picked SGA to win the MVP. Can you talk us through that pick and that successful pick?
Again, I think it was he was in that position to do it last year, and I thought he was only getting better. I mean, there was no way in my mind was he going to take a dip in you know, his play, you know, how he plays or something like that, or in his talent. He was only getting better. The team's only getting better. and so I just thought that Shea would be up and around in those MVP talks, and yeah, he happened to win it.
Yeah, listen, I was, for me it was 1-2 between Shea and Doncic. Tyson, you also picked Doncic like I did. Again, this was pre-Lakers trade. Post Lakers trade, I didn't see him winning MVP at that point, but Shea honestly nearly had it locked up by the time Doncic was traded to the Lakers. That was that early in the season. Tyson, your thoughts on Doncic, your pick at the start of the season for winning MVP, and what you think happened there?
Hold on, Tyson. Did you know that he was going to get traded to the Lakers before you?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So maybe you have a bit of a different perspective.
Everything
was
taken into account.
Okay.
But no, look, Doncic, he's still a great goddamn player. Like,
I mean, he was always going to be up there. Yeah,
he's always going to be
in those talks,
top 3 talks, like unless he's got one leg or something. So pretty hard to pass up on him. He's definitely due for one, but unfortunately with injuries, and then obviously trade happens and falling off, can't get back in rhythm. But look. He's definitely due for one, so definitely not a bad take by me. So,
and Ruben, finishing with you, bit of a wild card pick. Can't fault it though. You had Anthony Edwards taking out the MVP. He ended up finishing 8th in MVP voting, behind the likes of Kay Cunningham, LeBron, and Donovan Mitchell. What were your thoughts on MVP? Sorry, on Ant's season? And your prediction at the start of the season?
Well, I thought MVP was tough for me. It was between Jokic, SGA, Luka, or Ant. I thought Luka, I was tempted to pick him, but I saw how much basketball he was playing last season, and I was worried about his injuries, and lo and behold, he did end up getting injured. Jokic, I think, was a bit of a vote of fatigue, and then SGA, I wasn't sure how much J-Dub and Chet were going to be elevated, and I thought with my pick with Ant, I just saw like Oscar with SGA, he was only going to go up, and I thought he was going to have an outstanding season. It was going to raise Minnesota to the 1 seed, which is why I picked it. Obviously didn't pan out that way. They only started playing well towards the end of the season, but I thought I was on to something at the start of the season, but I think Ant is still young, still got a lot to work on still. So I think you can't count him out, but yeah, I'm not as confident for Ant winning MVP as I was at the start of the season.
The next pick we picked most improved player, and 3 of us, being myself, Tyson, and Ruben, all picked Kuminga to win most improved, which, a lot of turmoil between Kuminga and the Warriors this year. He had a bit of a boost in the playoffs when Steph got injured, but there was a lot of, he got benched halfway through the year, then he wasn't even really playing. Very, very disruptive for a player with such high promise. I don't know if you guys want to comment on the Kuminga guy, Tyson or Ruben?
I don't know. It was like you said, a very strange dynamic. How like he was using him, that he wasn't using him, and then Curry got out, and then he became a bona fide scorer again. The whole thing just doesn't make sense to me at all whatsoever.
Yeah. And Oscar, over to your pick. You picked Josh Giddey, which at the time I thought was a sneaky little pick, maybe a little biased pick with your love for the Bulls, but he cracked the top 10 in most improved voting. He finished 10th. He got He got one first place vote, actually, to Giddey's credit. He got 2 second place votes and 2 third place votes, which put him in 10th place in most improved voting. So, Oscar, what are your thoughts on that pick in Giddey's season with Chicago?
You know, what I thought back then was he was on this new team. He had a bit of a fresh start in Chicago. And I thought that he would, and it did happen. He got better. He played better in Chicago than what he did in OKC. He was shooting better. He made a lot of, he made some clutch shots. He made some very clutch performances from him for Chicago, and I think he's going to be a big future of this team. So, yeah, I think I don't hate my pick right now. I think that he did improve. Wasn't the most improved, obviously, but he did improve, and yeah. He improved Chicago.
Yeah, interested to see, Giddey, our Australian brother, so we'll see how he goes next season. But moving on, Rookie of the Year, and I'm going to toot my own horn here. I smashed this one out of the park from a long mile away. Next year I might maybe have a cheeky wager on Rookie of the Year. Stefan Castle took 92 out of 100 first-place votes on his way to steamrolling through the Rookie of the Year race. Look, for me, guys, I thought Stefan Castle was just the best all-around player. Heading into the season, I think he was the most NBA ready. I think we saw that with his season at UConn with Dan Hurley. I think he was just the most NBA ready on a young team with a veteran point guard who could help mentor him. I thought all the things lined up for Stefan Castle to win Rookie of the Year. You know, also only won the dunk contest too. So very, very impressive rookie season for him. Oscar, you know, someone that I think came along quite good later in the year. He ended up finishing 6th for 7th, and that was just from one third place vote, let him finish in 7th. Matas Buzelis from the Bulls, another Bulls pick. Your thoughts on his season? And you know,
I remember exactly what I said in that episode, and I was like, if the Bulls play him, he will win it. And the Bulls did not play him for the start of the season. In Bulls fashion, we didn't do it with Kobe White. Didn't play him very much early on in his career. But when the Bulls started to play him, he showed flashes of being one of the best prospects in that draft. You know, he's a 3-level scorer. He started shooting a bit better, getting more confidence. He's still a bit thin. You know, he needs to bulk up a little bit on defense, but he showed flashes of being a top player in that draft. So, you know, don't hate my pick. The Bulls didn't play him enough, in my opinion. Because when he did play 20 plus, 30 plus minutes, his scoring was unbelievable. He was scoring 20 points, 25 points. So I just think the Bulls misused him a bit. But, you know, he'll be around for a while for the Bulls.
Yeah.
He's a part of our future.
Kobe White's progress should hopefully serve some
exactly
hope,
right.
For Buzelis. I agree, showed some flashes. I'm going to move to Tyson now. Tyson, you close second. Risa Shea, the first overall pick for the Hawks, finished second in Rookie of the Year voting. Your thoughts on that pick?
Well, I mean, still a reasonable pick. You know, it's the first overall pick in the draft.
It's an easy pick, one might say.
So,
not much thought behind that one.
you got me?
Yeah, we got it.
True. Well, yeah, just a logical pick. Like, he's not some still a great guy getting ready to, you know, evolve on the Hawks. You know, great point guard with Trey, so he's in a great position. So it was a pretty reasonable pick. But still would have liked to see Jared McCain be healthy, because I do think he would have taken that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And capping off the Rookie of the Year picks, Ruben. In pre-season, I thought your pick actually, you know, had a bit of merit to it. But then after a mid-season trade blunder, and then he came back onto the team and didn't play, Dalton Connect. Tyson, I'm pretty sure was happy with that one pre-season, standing up for his Lakers boys. What are your thoughts on that pick, Rubes?
I seem to have a bad luck with the Lakers, so I think I'm just going to stop predicting them. But I thought
stay away from them next year.
I'm just staying away from the Lakers. Anyway, I thought when they drafted him, he was a steal. And I just look, it was a risk because we've never seen JJ Redick coach before. But when I saw him talking with LeBron and the play that he was in the NBA, he really emphasized 3-point shooting, and I thought in his system he would fit really well. But then you just look at the playoffs; they needed shooting. JJ Redick didn't play him, and then Luka alluded to it as well, the mid-season trade, where they nearly sent him to the Hornets with Mark Williams, but the physical failed. So I just
predicted that trade.
Yeah, I just think it went very downhill for Dalton. I don't know what the next move is going to be for him, but as a Memphis fan, I just want to say Zach Edey, Jalen Wells, well done for this season. It was a shame he went down injured, but I think with those guys, we've got a very exciting future ahead.
Yeah. A lot of good showings from the rookies. We'll see next year, but the draft is actually happening, I want to say, tomorrow.
I think tomorrow, yeah.
The draft?
Yeah, I'm pretty
First round
sure.
Tomorrow. I'm pretty sure.
It happens right after the finals. 26th of June. No, not quite tomorrow. 26th of June. That's the 27th of June for us.
3 days.
Honestly, not too much I'd like to talk about in this year's draft. I think it's pretty clear who's going number one overall. A couple of exciting prospects in there, but, you know, the draft isn't something we particularly focus on Priceless Takes. Maybe that can be something that can, you know, change in the future. But, guys, Defensive Player of the Year, bit of a wash. Clean house with Wemby. All four of us picked Wemby, and I do believe he would have won had he lasted the full season. I think all of you guys share that sentiment. I think all of us will probably be picking him next year
I think
to
so,
win
probably.
Defensive Player of the Year again. So we'll see how that one goes. The next one, Sixth Man of the Year is the next one. Oscar, I'll start with you. You took Jaime Jaquez to win Sixth Man of the Year. Peyton Pritchard did take out the award. Jaime Jaquez did not make the ballot, as did none of our picks, if I'm being completely honest with you. But your thoughts on Jaime Jaquez? I liked the pick. A bit out there, but I liked it. And your thoughts on Peyton Pritchard?
I thought Miami were going to be a really good team, and
me
Jaime,
too.
and Jaime, he was, he was really leading that bench unit in scoring. I don't know if he was actually leading in scoring, but the bench was running through him a lot of the time in that six-man spot, and he'd been playing well to that point off the bench. So I don't know. It's a tough one to pick Sixth Man of the Year because any six man can pop off and go crazy. But I don't know.
Ruben, you had DiVincenzo as your Sixth Man of the Year. Bit disappointing in Minnesota throughout the whole season, I thought, but not a horrible pick at the time. What are your thoughts on that one?
Minnesota just really confuses me now. Like, I don't want to be too harsh on the conference finals, but I think when you have Nas Reed, who was Sixth Man of the Year, and then Dante, who was amazing in New York, had a lot of threes from New York and stepped up for them massively last season. I thought he was going to be able to do the same for Minnesota, and why I thought they were going to really elevate. But just like you said, it just hasn't been able to show so far. But I did see a report that New York might want Dante back, but we'll have to see. I don't know how that's going to work feasibly, but look, I'm not sure what Dante's future is going to be.
If I'm New York, I would want Dante back too. He played well when he was with them. Speaking of New York, Tyson, Deuce McBride, we both picked him to win Sixth Man of the Year. Again, I think preseason, a very valid pick, kind of emerged after the IQ trade last year where they became the true sort of six-man backup point guard and suffered a bit of injury this year, old Deuce, but didn't quite get it done. Tyson, your thoughts on the Deuce McBride pick for Sixth Man of the Year?
He's upside, a good potential. Because he didn't hit the nail on the head there, but who knows? Maybe next year bring it back.
Very well, maybe. Yeah, look, still got a lot of high upside for me. I think a good pick, maybe not one in hindsight, but he was the clear sixth man. Honestly, in a bit of a similar role to Peyton Pritchard in a way, who ended up winning it. That like point guard off the bench, who you can put in your closing lineup if you have to. And to be fair to Juice, he did come sort of a bit alive again in the playoffs this year compared to the regular season. Coach of the Year, Kenny Atkinson took that out. Oscar, I'll start with you. Another Lakers pick that didn't turn out very good. You had JJ Redick as Coach of the Year, which, he did still finish in sixth place. He received 5 third-place votes, so he was higher than the rest of our picks. So technically, that was the best pick out of all of them. What are your thoughts on JJ Redick's rookie season as the head coach of the Lakers?
I think there was a lot of problems with JJ Redick. He'll only get better as a coach. But for your first season, bringing your team to 50 wins, I mean,
and the 3 seed.
And the 3 seed, I think that's a pretty good effort for your first season coaching in the NBA. And as I said before, there was a lot of problems with I think with how he coached that team. But I think he'll only grow and only get better. And 50 wins in the 3rd seed, pretty good effort for a first year coach. So.
Tyson, you had Missoula winning Coach of the Year after he won it last year, winning back-to-back. What are your thoughts on Missoula's season with the Celtics and your pick at the time?
That was kind of in the perspective of Celtics topping the East, going to the finals, and hoping to get a back-to-back chip, which history proves otherwise. Yeah, not too fond of that pick. Still.
What did he come in the voting?
He didn't crack the top 6, and the top 6 was only on the voting. That I can see at least.
Like, still a great coach, obviously, with a great team, but definitely, I think the ceiling is much higher after you just won it before. So So the expectation is much higher. So, yeah, didn't get the job done, unfortunately.
And that was also my bad before. Sorry, Missoula didn't win Coach of the Year last year. Mark Daignault did.
Yeah.
Bit of a quiet slip up from me. But Ruben, you said before you picked this guy, Jamal Mosley, Coach of the Year. I think I had him the year before, didn't win. He didn't win this year. Your thoughts on that pick?
Yeah, look, I just probably picked him a year too early. I thought KCP was going to be better than what he was, and just looking at Franz Wagner and Ben Kehrer, they're still young. Ben Kehrer especially, he was out for a considerable amount of time too, and I think that did hinder their regular season performance. But I still respect how they were able to finish the 7 seed, and they gave Boston a relatively good fight in the first round. Like, they didn't get blown away, I noticed, up until maybe game 4 or game 5. But I'm really excited to see them next season, and I think Magic could be really good.
Yeah, and I think, look, my Coach of the Year, I think, leads into my surprise team pick of the year. I had Popovich winning Coach of the Year. I thought, could have been a little bit of a nice last hurrah for him. I also had the Spurs as my surprise team of the season, who, look, Wemby's injuries derailed that, unfortunately. They were 21-25 with Wembanyama, which wasn't great, but look, the Pacers were 16-18 and went to the finals. Wembanyama, he got injured, and they also traded away for Fox. Stephon Castle emerged later in the season. Do I think the Spurs still could have been the surprise team of the season if Wemby stayed healthy? Maybe. I think they could have had something, particularly with Fox, coming in the second half of the season. I think they could have done something there. But will I be picking them again next year? Probably not. Will I think about picking them? Potentially, because Wemby, he does have the ability to completely change the game and the outlook of an NBA franchise with the prospect that he is. Oscar, no surprise of your pick. The Bulls as your surprise team.
They might have been the least surprising team, I think, 9th seed again.
Walk us through that one.
I think I was in the perspective that they were going to be really bad this year, like worse, like 15th seed or 13th seed, like where Philly would have been, and I thought they were going to make the play, like surprise people and actually make the playoffs. They didn't do that. They were 9th seed again in the play-in for like the 16th year in a row or whatever it is. No, but we had some surprising moments. This year we had some surprising moments, but not quite a surprising team.
Will you be picking the Bulls as your surprise team next year, Oscar?
No. God, no.
Okay.
We'll probably be 9th seed again, Luca. We'll see.
Tyson, again, to no one's surprise, you had the Lakers as your surprise team of the season.
They were very
Did they surprise you, Tyson?
No, because I knew this. This is why I chose them. Like this is why I do this stuff. This is why you select me on the panel. No, look, I always think
It was surprising.
No, but this is no trade in mind, Oscar. This is
Yeah, I know, but sometimes that just happens,
Well, when you're the Lakers, anything can happen. So
Exactly.
Look, I was really basing it off LeBron's story tale final push by himself.
Boston versus Lakers.
Lakers
Battle
come
of
out
the
of
best
nowhere
teams.
after getting bounced in the first round, and then but no, look, definitely surprising. I'd say for sure. So
Surprising trade.
it's a good pick. It's a good pick by me.
And capping off the surprise team of the season, Ruben, you mentioned it before. You had the Kings as your surprise team, and they honestly surprised me in how bad they were. So I'm not sure if that's exactly where you were going with this pick, but walk us through the dysfunction of the Sacramento Kings and how you will not be picking them again next year.
Well, obviously won't be picking them again, like as I was alluding to earlier. We were talking about Weber. Couple of seasons ago, they were 3 seed, and they got to a game 7 with Golden State Warriors, and I thought they were truly building something.
Dropped on them by Steph.
Yeah, and then they had De'Aaron Fox, they had Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, who I thought was going to keep developing. Sabonis
They actually had a good future. Yeah.
is a solid center. I thought, yeah, and then they got rid of their coach, and the moment they got rid of their coach, I said, nope, I'm not having any bar of this, and they got even worse by getting rid of Chicago rejects, which Levine can't even stay healthy, and DeMar DeRozan at this point is a veteran unk. I just think I'm never backing the Kings again. Absolutely not.
So you would argue, Ruben, you could put an asterisk on your pick considering what happened to the Kings
No,
this season.
no. I have to back it like you did, Luca, with your because you can't predict it. So the whole idea is I think you try to stick through with it, but yeah, I didn't want to flip flop because I just it was just a
Ruben,
shame about the
I'm
coach.
going to stick with you as we go to our disappointment team of the season. I don't know how you define disappointment.
I think we were all pretty spot on here.
Yeah, I think so, but I don't know how you define disappointment, Ruben. But what do you think about the Bucks season? You had the Bucks' disappointment of the season.
I would agree with you, Luca. My definition was probably a bit flawed, kind of like MVP voting, like the definition, you move the goalposts. My idea with Milwaukee was that when we first all looked at the trade, we had Josh Payne on the show, I think, from memory. Like, we had Dame and Giannis two top 75 players, and we said, like, they need to be in contention, they needed to win, but they haven't even gotten out of the first round, which I thought they were going to be very disappointing. And then you just look at the coaching. I don't rate the coaching at all. Doc, even if they were winning, they just choked the lead anyway. And then they picked up Kuzma mid-season, and it just went downhill from there. Look, they had health issues, but that's not
NBA champion Kyle Kuzma.
Yes, we are talking about that.
Disney Kyle Kuzma, who was at the Washington Wizards beforehand. But yeah, look, the Bucks, I feel bad for them. They're a small market team. They have got their ring, but Dame was trying to ring chase, but I think it's come back to bite him a bit. And I'm interested to see Giannis's future and where he goes. I think he might end up at the Knicks, but yeah, look, I'm not too sure about Milwaukee, especially with Dame and his injury. I don't think they're going to be very good next season again either.
Yeah. Look, I agree. The Bucks, yeah, look, it's a tough one. I think Giannis looks like he might be staying at this point, and with the Eastern Conference looking how it looks, I don't think that's the worst idea. Tyson and Oscar, you banded together for this pick. Very, very good. Oscar, a bit of a change of heart from you. You've been a bit of a Philly fanboy in previous years, but, it's okay to jump ship, particularly when you get a correct prediction, so I can't really fault you for that. But Oscar and Tyson, your thoughts on Philadelphia? They were your disappointment team of the season. They were probably the most disappointing team in the entire league, to be completely honest with you. So I don't think you really could have picked it any better.
After glazing them for so long and seeing so much disappointment from that team, I just had to put them there. I just didn't think that the Paul George trade or signing or whatever it was would have really gone in the upwards direction for them. I think they were just trying to throw things at the wall and see what would stick. So yeah, they were horrible. They were absolutely horrible. So yeah.
T?
Well, I think one of the best picks I've done in a while. Really, really accurate. Look, trading for PG. Was he on 50 mil? Like, come on. Like, let's be so real. What are we doing here? Yeah, look, Philly's just in shambles. I'm sorry.
I want, like, we should really go back and look at the grin on Joel Embiid's face when they signed PG, when they were all sitting next to each other. The grin on PG's face when they were saying they were going to trade for PG was so wide. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just never went their way.
Well, no.
Yeah. Number 3 pick in the draft for Philly. Interesting to see what they'll do with that. They still got Nick Nurse. They still got, Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain, who, that could be a cool little backcourt tandem. Yeah, maybe a surprise team of the season pick for next year. Yeah, and to finish off my disappointment team of the season.
Pretty spot on.
Look, depends how you define disappointment. When I picked the Cavs to be a disappointment team of the season, did I think that they were going to have the second best record in the NBA and be the number 1 seed? No, I didn't. I didn't think that when I picked them. But do I still believe my prediction was right? Yes, I do, because the reason I picked the Cavs to be disappointing is because they're fraudulent. And although they didn't appear to be fraudulent in the regular season, they were fraudulent when it mattered the most, which is what I knew all along. So I stand by my pick. I think that was
I think we're all pretty spot on with our picks there. I think when you look at expectations versus where they actually were, I think they were all disappointments.
And particularly after last year hitting the nail on the head with the Grizzlies and their disappointing season, this year picking the Cavs. I think I've got disappointing under wraps. So Lakers, watch out, because something might be coming your way.
Just your final picks
next year
aren't really. Just your final picks.
But listen, guys, that it concludes Priceless Takes episode 81. This will be the last NBA episode for the year, unless something crazy happens, and whether that be in the draft or
we get to LA,
whether that be a Giannis trade, which look, stranger things have happened. So until further notice, this will be our last NBA episode of the year. You know, to go on a high, I would just like to announce the winner of the NBA playoff predictions. Which was in 4th place, Oscar. You finished on 10 points. In 3rd place, Tyson, you finished on 11 points. Ruben, you finished on 14 points in 2nd place. And, you know, when we actually scaled the scores correctly, I think the best predictor won finally, which was your boy here on 16 points. But, guys, good job for your playoff picks as well, you know, over the course of the season. Thank you for being on the panel with me for the course of the season, and I'm looking forward to running it back next year.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a good year.
Just because the NBA is over, guys, doesn't mean that we stop here on Priceless Takes. I'm organising a State of Origin Game 3 special as we speak. Going to put some flair into the show. We're going to hopefully start covering some more Australian sport. And then before you know it, the NFL is going to be back in August. So stay tuned for State of Origin Game 3. Tyson and Oscar and Ruben, you guys might recognise some of the people that are going to be coming on in the show. Announcements will be made soon of who's going to be joining me, but stay tuned for State of Origin. Stay tuned for some AFL, where Tyson and Oscar very well could make a return to the panel to talk some AFL. We'll see how that goes. But guys, make sure to always continue following us on Instagram, on TikTok. Descriptions in the handles below. Thank you guys once again for being great guests this year. Thank you to the audience for listening throughout the entire NBA season. I am your host, Luca Price, and we will see you all next time.